With the exception of New York City, though, because the new face of the Democrats is now likely going to win the votes of New Yorkers today as they head to the polls in the mayoral race. And Democrat socialist Zohran Mamdani looks set to win. Now, Donald Trump was asked about Mamdani during his 60 Minutes interview.
Zohran Mamdani, 34-year-old Democratic socialist. He's the
communist, not socialist, communist. He's far worse than a socialist.
Some people have compared him to a left-wing version of you, charismatic, breaking the old rules. What do you think about that?
Well, I think I'm a much better looking person than him, right?
Love him or hate him, he is hilarious. But Hillary, we've covered for some time now that Mamdani is as radical and far left as it gets. He's been running his campaign promising to make New York City affordable. But Hillary, I really want to talk about the consequences for New York City if Mamdani gets in. You know, there's so much to cover here. We can start with the police. I mean, Mamdani has previously called to defund the police. He's called police officers racist, anti-queer and a major threat to public safety. He has since apologised for those comments because he had to. But right now, the number of police officers is at its lowest level in New York City in 20 years, below 34,000. Morale is low, and of course it is. And he's been running his campaign promising free buses, rent freezes, which is of course going to be a disaster. I mean, people will be refusing to move out. The vacancy rate will get tighter. Developers will obviously be avoiding building new housing. Landlords won't be upgrading buildings anytime soon. And there's also the fact that Mamdani doesn't have a lot of experience. No real experience in governance, in business, law, finance, running a large organisation. He says that he wants to increase taxes on the wealthy, even though the top 1% of city taxpayers provide 48% of the city's personal income tax revenue. And there are reports today, Hillary, that almost 1 million people are preparing to flee New York City. Almost 1 million.
Oh, yes, Gabriella, you're totally right with everything that you just mentioned. You painted a ghastly picture and you're totally correct. Nearly 1 million, that's literally the size. I'm in Washington, D.C. That's literally the size of Washington, D.C. leaving. And of course, as you indicated, who's going to leave? The poor aren't leaving. The people that leave will be the people that pay the taxes to fund the programs that he purports that he says he's going to do. First of all, what he says he's going to do is totally and utterly unrealistic. He doesn't run the MTA, which is the transit system, so he can't give the free buses. That's not under his purview. He isn't in control of the rent control either. He doesn't own the real estate either. So a lot of what he promises is absolutely, completely and utterly out of his control, and that's ridiculous. Also, give me anybody who's ever left a capitalist country and moved to a socialistic country. It just really doesn't happen. Socialism fails everywhere that it's ever been tried. And the only places where sort of a version of socialism succeeds, like, for example, in the Nordic countries, I actually lived in Amsterdam, lived in Holland. I headed global business development for KPMG there. And the difference there, Gabriella, is the Dutch, very hardworking people. Everybody works. I remember when actually my first son was born, neighbors came to give me a gift for the baby, but they said, oh, when somebody doesn't work and they've hurt their back, we come to bring them food, but we also check that their back is really hurt because we don't want them getting benefits if they don't really need it, because the Dutch check on each other. This is what they do. They're all very hardworking. It's the Viking mentality that if somebody is injured, everybody else has to row in the boat. What Mamdani is predicting is that he will just give handouts to people that don't do anything. Last but not least, with regard to the grocery stores, when he says about the government subsidized groceries, all the bodegas won't be able to compete. All of those that were founded by immigrants, the small bodegas, they will not be able to compete. Why? They will not be paying rent. The government ones won't be paying rent. They will be subsidized. So you'll drive out, in addition to everything you said, it'll drive out all of the regular grocery stores.
It's been revealed Barack Obama had a lengthy phone call with Mamdani over the weekend and offered to be a sounding board, and Obama praised Mamdani for his campaign, according to the New York Times. Now, we've seen Mamdani being backed by Bernie Sanders and AOC, but it's interesting to see Mamdani seems to have been able to win over voters through his social media strategy by posting videos and using influencers, and that has cut through, Hillary.
Well, absolutely. And that's why it explains the younger voters are predominantly predicted to vote for him, at least in the current polling. It is older voters that aren't as obviously frequently using the social media. So he has done, actually, I would compliment him and his team, brilliant job with social media. But these clips are exciting and they promise a lot. It's kind of like saying it's going to be Christmas every day for everyone. But yeah, again, who's going to fund it? As Margaret Thatcher said, the problem with socialism is you run out of spending other people's money.
Correct. Well, another Democrat that's going all in with her social media strategy, except this one I think is absolutely bizarre, is Gavin Newsom, who in the space of a minute says that he hates politicians who lie, only to go on to say that Joe Biden's cognitive health was fantastic.
Nothing I dislike more than the politician that sits there and lies to you. And we all just sit there rolling our eyes going, give me a break.
Did you legitimately believe that he was capable of serving as president until January of 2029?
There was nothing to suggest what you just said or others have suggested in terms of my interaction. That's all I can be accountable for.
I mean, when you think of a slippery, lying politician, in America, you think of Gavin Newsom instantly. I mean, he lies about the reservoirs being full during the LA fires at the start of the year. He's been flip-flopping on trans issues, like whether men can play in women's sports. And he's now putting on different accents depending on what podcast he's on. Hillary, what's your assessment of Gavin Newsom there?
Oh, yes. I loved it when he was talking about literally almost as if he grew up in a ghetto as a boy. And then the next thing you saw was there's a problem is photographs don't lie and facts are stubborn things. There was a photograph of him with a Burberry scarf when he first went to university.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Gavin, you have a short memory. But also, I think that next to liars, I think one other thing that the public doesn't have much tolerance for are hypocrites. There was a scene during COVID where the entire state had to wear face masks, and he was pictured at the French Laundry very close with all his donors there at a comfy, cozy dinner without a face mask. So, no, I think that he's a liar. He is a liar. He has, not for me to say he's a liar. Photographs have proved that he has lied in certain instances, and also he's a hypocrite. And that's something that I think that nationally, the American voters have very little tolerance for, and rightly so.
Absolutely. Now, finally, Donald Trump was asked about ICE and if ICE agents potentially going too far during his interview with 60 Minutes.
Have some of these raids gone too far?
No, I think they haven't gone far enough because we've been held back by the judges, by the liberal judges that were put in by Biden and by Obama.
You're okay with those tactics?
Yeah, because you have to get the people out. You have to look at the people. Many of them are murderers. Many of them are people that were thrown out of their countries because they were, criminals.
Donald Trump declaring ICE has not gone far enough. Now, DHS has deported around 500,000 illegal aliens since the start of Trump's second term, and more than 1.6 million have voluntarily self-deported. But Hillary, there's more to go.
Oh, yes, there are. And President Trump is really correct there, Gabriella, because it has been proven that in many of these countries, they have literally emptied out their jails. It's not like they're sending their best and their brightest. They don't want those that are making great incomes and taxes. And somebody who lives a lovely, comfy, professional, upstanding life isn't going to lead and could go across the border with nothing to do this. So, yes, it's the dregs of society that have come. And many of them, a great percentage of them, not only are criminals, but they're fighting age men, which is ghastly. And what I would say is to all of those Democrats that are defending all of these illegals, why don't they take them into their homes then?
Well said. It's a fair point. President and founder of Strelmark, Hillary Fordwich, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure, Gabriella. Thank you.